All right, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. How do I explain this one? I'll say this: both defenses are going to be elite this season. If you are a average offense, you are not going to like to go against either one of these defenses this season. I'm just being honest with you. If you're Texas A&M right now, though, I will say this: your offense didn't give you a whole lot of time to breathe, and I think that's the big thing here is that the teams that lost that were in the big time games, their defense would play decent, but then the offense would just never would give their defense enough time to breathe and get some time. Notre Dame won this because they were, I mean, they made more plays on offense. If we're going to be honest, I think that's what it came down to. They made more plays, and Notre Dame ended up being the better team. 23-13 was a score. Notre Dame, I mean, they were, I think at one point, I don't think they were tied, but I think it was like, no, they were tied. I think it was 13-13, and Notre Dame scored a touchdown, made it 20-13, and then that last drive, Texas A&M had a chance to stop them, but they didn't get it, and then Notre Dame would kick a field goal. So Notre Dame made more plays. Ultimately, I think the thing is, I think it was that Riley Leonard outplayed Connor Wigman. Connor Wigman, that was a rough game. And it's not like he didn't have time. Like, he had enough time in the pocket. Again, just like DJ Uiagalelei, he just didn't get the ball to your receivers. Or either drop passes. So, again, that's what you see from that matchup, is that ultimately Notre Dame played a better football game. And then our last game, I believe, our last game we're going to talk about USC, LSU. This was, and I'll say this right now, this was the best game of the whole weekend. And the reason why I say that, I think, and I was happily surprised, but USC's defense actually played decent in this game. Now, we'll say this. Yes, Garrett Nussmeier had a good football game, but you got to, and again, stats can tell a lot, but then stats can also blind you from the truth about the game. That is, if you look at how Garrett Nussmeier played, he had a lot of short passes in this game, which helped him with his stats. But I got to say this. USC, Miller Moss, that guy, he's going to be a pretty good football player for USC. USC, I got to say this. Right now, they are going to be better than last year. They will be better than 7-5, trust me. I was skeptical about them going into the season, but I will say this: after one game, I will say they will be competing in that Big Ten. Now, again, I will say this: I've got to admit when I'm wrong, and when I'm wrong, I got to admit to it. And so, yeah, USC is going to be better than what I thought they were going to be. And so LSU in this game, I got to say this too. LSU's going to be a decent team, but USC's a better team. USC, they'll be good. They'll be good. In this game, Miller Moss went berserk. Garrett Nussmeier had pretty good stats. And at the end of the day, LSU's defense crumbled once again. And, okay, here's another stat, okay? LSU has not won a home opener since 2019. You know what they did in 2019? That was the year they had Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I think Terrace Marshall was one of the receivers. You had Thaddeus Moss on that team. You you had I can't remember what the guy's name was, running back, but he was good. I just got to say this: that LSU team, that's the team that went undefeated, won the national championship. So they haven't won a home. They have not won an opening game since. Yes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thank you, Colton. But I'll say this: LSU, what lost in the game was that their defense, when it came down to the biggest moment, their defense didn't show up. They allowed a touchdown with like 8 seconds to go in the game. You can't do that if you want to win a football game. So, all in all, this was a good game. I mean, you saw it here on the channel. It was a really fun game to bring to you. Ultimately, though, USC was a better team, and they won the game. So, and then also coming out of, let's see, I think it was yesterday, we do have some breaking news that came out earlier today. You probably already saw this. LSU running back John Emery Jr., he will not be playing the rest of this season. So this is an article from ESPN. LSU running back John Emery Jr. tore the ACL in his left knee in practice Tuesday and is expected to miss the rest of the season, sources confirmed to ESPN. Emery, the Tigers' starting tailback, tore his right ACL in a victory over the Florida Gators on November 11th, which tells you a little bit about last year, how he only played, I believe it was 7 games. And so let me just start by saying this is his senior year. He may have some eligibility. I don't know how that works. I really don't know how that works. Either way, first off, LSU will now be one-dimensional offense. Reason why I say that: John Emery Jr. was the best running back on that team. Okay? Sunday night, he had 10 carries for like 61 yards, while the other two, I believe, had like 10 carries combined for like 50. So John Emery Jr., definitely the best running back. I think at this point, if you're LSU, you got to just give the ball to Garrett Nussmeier and be like, hey, we're barely going to run the ball. We're going to go air raid, and you got to go win us. You got to go win every game for us, which I don't think is fair to him, but I think that's really what you're going to have to see out of LSU this season. They're not going to do a whole lot they're going to be pretty good, but I think it's going to be a whole lot of difficulties for Garrett Nussmeier. So,